Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Back to the podcast. I'm Shade Curry, your host. And welcome to 2025. Hope you are having an amazing time. Hope your holidays were great. This is part two of the age series, I guess. There's only going to be two parts, but I'm going to do one more episode about time and wasting time, because it's sort of like with the new year, time, aging, moving through time was on my mind. So these three episodes will be about that. So last week we had an episode about your own age, your own thoughts about aging, your own thoughts about dating at whatever age you are, which I will let you know, everyone literally has thoughts about their age when they're dating. Not because the number on your birth certificate has anything to do with you attracting a partner, but because as a society, we are feeding ourselves these narratives that it has some bearing on it. So if you haven't listened to that episode, it is titled All the Men Want Younger Women. So I try to make it as clickbaity as possible so everyone would listen to it. But today's episode is your thoughts about the age of the people that you date. So most of the listeners on this podcast are women who are divorced women who are dating men. But this applies, I think, to almost anyone. So what are your thoughts when you think about who you're dating, when you're on the dating app and you're setting your filters? What are your thoughts about what those numbers mean? If you're setting the numbers to 40 to 50 or 45 to 55 or 43 to 60, what is going through your mind when you are setting those filters? And I have heard it all. There is, and if you are on social media at all, you've probably heard this phrase, I don't want to be a nurse with a purse. All these men are looking for a nurse with a purse, which, again, there's always some truth to the stereotype, right? And what a nurse with a purse means is you have these older men, so to speak, who haven't done a lot with their lives. They're old, they're sick, they haven't taken care of their health, and they haven't saved a lot of money. They don't have a lot of money for retirement. So now they're on the apps or out dating, looking for a younger woman who has taken care of herself, who will take care of them in their old age, and who will pay all their bills in retirement. And there's always some kind of every kind of person. I don't doubt at all that these men do exist, and who knows what numbers they exist in. What I want to really call to mind for you is to question whether you are paying attention to what you want or you are paying attention to what you don't want. And as a dating coach, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. Because our brains are wired to focus on what we don't want, our brains have a tendency to lean into negativity, to catastrophize, to try to protect us from the things we think are dangerous. It's just a human thing to focus on what we don't want, right? So that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you if you're focusing on, I don't want an old man who's gonna not be active, all of the negative don't wants. If you have a list of those that are constantly running through your mind, this doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're human. However, it is not serving you. One of the ways I explain it to my clients in our sessions is if you were in a room, in your room, the room was closed, doors were closed, windows were closed, and there was a rattlesnake in the corner, right? Like, rattlesnake is dangerous. It could bite me at any moment. It doesn't matter what else is in the room. There could be puppies in the room. There could be ice cream in the room. There could be all of your favorite things in the room. You're not going to take your eyes off that rattlesnake because you're like, I don't want to turn my back on that rattlesnake to start eating the ice cream and then it bites me. And so that's just what your brain is doing when it funnels all of these negative thoughts through your mind. It's just trying to protect you. The challenge is there is no rattlesnake in the corner anymore. At least there isn't if you are dating with confidence, if you have worked on your self-leadership, if you are dating from your core values, if you are focused on yourself, if you are centering yourself versus centering other people, if you are dating, not looking to be saved, but to create this extraordinary life and find a person who is a multiplier for you, and you know how to do that, there's no need to look at the rattlesnake in the corner, because the rattlesnake couldn't bite you. And that is really what I see in the women who are so focused on, I don't want a man who's not active. So they're all of the complaints I hear are, well, these men are not active. These men are set in their ways. These men are looking for a nurse with a purse. These men don't want to go out and do things. And all of the things that could be a part of how a person shows up when they're aging. The reason your mind is so focused on those is because you're afraid that you're going to settle for that. But what if you just learned the skills of finding what you do want, of gaining clarity on who you are, your core values, your lifestyle, self-discovery, all of the things that take you to a place where you're like, oh yeah, for sure, I am showing up in a way that would repel the people looking for a nurse with a purse. Like, you could build your confidence to that level where you didn't even have to worry about the possibility of settling. And so I want to say, listen, there's all kinds of people out there. I say this all the time. There's every kind of person out there. There are the men who are looking for a nurse with a purse. There are the older men who want to sort of retreat in their old age and do less and not show up for a lot of things in their old age. And then there are the men who are doing the exact opposite. There are the men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even their 80s, who are doing all the things, who are excited about life, who are showing up for their children and their nieces and nephews and their siblings, and who are ready to show up for a partner, who are building things into their old age, who are doing new things, who are traveling. Whatever it is that you're looking for, if you are that way, I guarantee you there's someone out there who is the same way. So what I tell my clients is, when you're on the apps or when you are talking to people, always be open to the human in front of you, right? Don't project who that person is or try to guess who that person is based on their external attributes. Now, our brain, you're going to have to work hard not to do this. Our brains want to take shortcuts. So if you look up, there is a phenomenon or something our brain does. It uses what psychologists call heuristics, heuristics, heuristics. So if you just look up that word, it'll tell you all the different kinds of heuristics there are. And they're simply mental shortcuts. Your brain wants to be able to go out there on the apps and say, okay, I have these filters set, and when I see this, it means that. When I see this, it means this other thing. So I can take a shortcut to find my partner. But it doesn't work. Because you're not dealing with robots, you're not dealing with computers, you're dealing with human beings. And the external attribute of that particular human may not mean what you think it means. So if you grew up in an environment where people of a certain age did things a certain way, it does not mean that when you are on the apps and you are looking at people of that age, that they all did things the way that you saw it when you were growing up, or in your particular environment, or in your particular culture, or in your particular city. I always tell my clients that humans are a universe unto themselves. So every human being that you look at, try to look at them as a whole universe. Like, and you know this, for those of you who have children, or for those of you who have siblings, you know that like they're constantly like doing things and you're like, wow, do I even know you, right? Like, you think you know a person and then they do something and you're like, wow, they have their own whole thinking process that is completely different from what I'm expecting. So we get to see glimpses and parts of people, but I don't know that we ever really know the whole human. And these are the people that we live with or we grew up with, that we thought we knew. And then when you go out into the world and you're dating, you meet someone at a party, or you're introduced to someone, or you're looking at their profile on a dating app, remind yourself, and this is what we do to sort of bring our brains back to like rational thinking, that I don't know this person. Let me hold space for the fact that I don't know this person. I talk to women who are constantly like, well, I wanted to give him a chance, or I want to look for the good, or I want to there's another phrase that I can't remember right this second. And what it means is don't lean towards like a negative judgment of people when you meet them. I actually believe that what you should do is not have a negative judgment and don't have a positive judgment. This is where people fall into a trap. They assume that because they're not having a negative judgment, they should have a positive judgment. You don't have enough information to make either a negative or positive judgment of this person. So what if you just stayed neutral? What if you just started from zero? Like, I don't know anything about this person. As I interact with them, I'm going to start making sort of like gathering the data and then building my understanding of this person. So when you meet someone who's 55 and you think, oh my goodness, this is how they are, remind yourself, I don't know what this particular 55-year-old is like. And if there's enough, sort of like enough in the profile for me to have a conversation, then I'll have the conversation and I'll start to have some data to go on. I'll start to text, and then maybe we'll have a phone call, and maybe we'll, go on a date, and then I'm gathering that data. So a person's age only tells you when they were born. That's it. It tells you the year, the day and the year that they were born. Really doesn't tell you much else. It can tell you some things that you might be able to assume about them, but you can't always assume that. Our brains we'd want to be able to take that shortcut. And I get it. I try to do the same thing too. I love all of the things on social media about like Gen Xers and boomers and millennials and Gen Z and, Gen Alpha and all that. I love it because it's like, it's funny, it's quirky, but it's not always useful when you are looking at a particular person. So I guess I would be considered a Gen Xer. Yeah, I would be considered a Gen Xer. But even when I look at myself, I don't fit all the things, right? Like my cultural upbringing, my religious upbringing, there are so many things that if you layer them into my life, could be boomer-like. Like if you're going to put, yeah, there's some of that in there, right? And then when you look at other parts, I am totally like, which group is the social media group? Like Gen Y or Gen Z? Like I love social media. I want to learn everything about social media. I want to be that old person who's like pecking away at whatever new technology is coming out in my old age. And I'm like, yeah, it's harder to learn it, but I'm like, I'm totally going to learn it. So I am my own person in that way, and I'm not defined by my age. And so in the last episode, I encouraged you not to be defined by your age, but to define yourself by the life you live. So don't feel bad about your age as you age. Stop defining yourself by that and stop accepting the projections that society puts on you. In the same way, don't define the people that you meet by their age. Define them by the life that they live. And this is going to require you to slow down just a little bit and gather some data. Now, there are some spaces and some areas where age is a valid, like, oh, I just really don't want to date a 25-year-old. If you're 40 and you don't want to date a 25-year-old, there might be good reasons for that, right? There's some good reasons like, well, chances are he wants kids, or chances are all of his friends might be younger, and I'm not comfortable with that. Although it's interesting, I do know people who are married to women who are married to men 15 years younger and who thought they wouldn't get along with the man's friends, and they totally coached themselves and transformed and worked it into their lives, and it totally works, right? So you don't have to put yourself in a box. These are boxes that were arbitrarily created, right, for us. Now, but I get it when they're valid. They're valid things. Like, this is not like a rule. And I know so many women I talk to try to use these things as rules. I'm just trying to say that if you are struggling with dating and you find yourself in this like very fearful, self-protective place where you are just like annoyed and angry and feel like dating isn't working for you, you don't even have to loosen the filters that you use, you might keep it to like, well, I just want to date people 40 to 50. That's fine. But when you are looking at people 40 to 50, know the reasons why you've chosen that group. Saying, well, 60-year-old men are dash is not a good reason. 40 to 50, you could be like, well, generally those people are moving towards retirement, but they're unlikely to be in retirement. And I really want someone who is working during the day. For whatever reason that you want someone who's working during the day. Now, you might find some 40 to 50-year-olds who are retired, but there's not going to be a lot of them. So you're looking more in the range that you're interested in. So keep it to the range that you're interested in, but sort of move into the positive space of, I'm interested in this age group for these positive reasons. Not because I assume that everyone in the other age group is like horrible and old and decrepit and cannot be a good match for me. It's really just, it can seem like a slight shift, but it is a very important shift. Don't use it against yourself. Whenever I talk to women and I'm trying to help them sort of like say, be a little more open-minded, many women hear this as, oh my God, she wants me to settle. She wants me to marry someone who's ugly, who's old. That is never the case. It is never the case. Like when I am coaching women, the choice of who they end up with is always up to them. I never argue with a woman's choice of her partner. Where we do the work is in the dating journey. The work that I do is to help you open up your life to more people so that you have more choices. So that when you actually choose, you had the opportunity to make the choice. Versus this is the one person who managed to fit all the things that I kind of was sort of looking for, and I guess I'm going to go with it. I love to see women saying, I can handle interacting with people, I can handle meeting people, I can handle talking to people, I am confident enough, resilient enough, I'm great with my boundaries, I know what I want, and I'm able to interact with a person, see whether or not they're right for me, and make that choice. Many of you are trying to perfect your journey with all of these rules. Okay, he needs to be this, 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 and this, and this from the profile. You haven't even met the person. And so you're trying to like sort of take one human, put them through the eye of a needle before you've even met them, so that you only need to go on that one date with the perfect Prince Charming that you're going to marry. And this is why so many people stay single. This is why dating is so hard for so many people. This is why so many people end up falling for scammers. Because guess who's good at appearing to be the perfect person for you? Narcissists and scammers. They're very good at working you because they know like kind of what you're looking for, and they're very good at putting on that mask. And because they fit the mask so perfectly, you fall for it. But what if you could relax, meet men who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, go on all these dates and make that choice, right? And I know the argument that comes after this is usually like, well, that's a lot of time. I don't want to waste my time. We're going to deal with that in the next episode because I have an answer for that too. The growth here in opening up your dating filters is not so that you marry someone and become his nurse with a purse. It's not so that you marry someone who's not a fit for your lifestyle. It's not so that you end up marrying someone who doesn't take care of themselves, or someone who doesn't like to go out, or someone who is set in their ways and is inflexible. It is so that you actually get to see what men are like. You get to go on dates. You get to go out and sit with people. You learn how to hold space for who they are. And when I say hold space, I don't mean you are being their therapist or their coach. It means in your mind, you can hold curiosity about who that person is. You can ask questions without over-attaching and falling straight into their arms, and without being closed off and angry and hostile and annoyed the whole time. You can just be like, I wonder who this person is. And when you find out who that person is, whether it's over the phone or on a video call or on that first date or on the seventh date, at the moment that you see who they really are, you have the confidence to say no and can be like, oh yeah, this isn't for me. Some of you are trying to protect yourself from having to say no down the line. So you're going to say a quick no early. I'm just not going to date anyone who is more than 2 years older than me because all of these things. What if you didn't need to hide in the corner until the perfect Prince Charming came along? What if you could just be out there talking to people, meeting people, and increasing the odds that you're going to find someone you like? So when it comes to dating men, again, this is not a rule. This is just sort of like a call to become more curious about people and their ages, a call to be interested in what people are like, what men are like, to go out and ask questions, knowing that you are confident enough not to settle. You don't have to be a nurse with a purse. But what if the person who is right for you is in just another year's worth of time beyond where you already have your filters or where you're already willing to date? Again, this is very nuanced. This is why I always invite you to book a consultation call with me so that I can answer your specific questions around this. And I invite you to work with me either one-on-one or in the Dating After Divorce Academy so that we can talk about each of these people. In the community, you get to bring every person that you are, talking to and say, hey, what about this guy? And you can get some guidance around making that decision, not based on one line or one thing about the person, but you can start to make decisions based on a more holistic view, based on who you are, what you decided you want, the self-discovery, the lifestyle that you're living, and a holistic evaluation of who that other person is, the life that they're living, how they live, all the things, not just this is their age. All right. I hope this was helpful for you to sort of open up your mind. You don't have to settle. However, you don't have to sit and wait until Prince Charming jumps off the screen, because that is unlikely to happen as well. You can take control of your dating journey and you can make this happen for yourself in 2025. All right. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate all of you who listen to the podcast, who leave reviews, who share it with others, who message me telling me how much you love the podcast. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to shadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.